Okay, so welcome to the Pick 3 Cards podcast. Today we're going to be working on a card that is quite a big topic. It's a topic that comes up significantly for many people, and it's the card Judgment Keeps You Separate. And really this has got a lot to do with the way we interact with others in the world. And underneath all of it is, interestingly, a strategy around loneliness. I'm not sure if you've ever experienced this, but where you may be surrounded by many, many people, but you still feel very lonely in the world. And so the idea of connectedness, the idea of oneness, the idea of being seen and intimate and being part of something is all part of this card. This card is part of the suit that is about love. And so I love the quote by Dalai Lama, who says, "Love is the absence of judgment." And truly that is the strategy for love, is being able to witness something without interpreting it as right or wrong or good or bad. This includes witnessing ourselves without the label of good or bad, right or wrong, and of course other people. Every time we go into looking at something, seeing something, our mind has a way of interpreting it. And this interpretation gap is the thing that causes us a significant amount of pain. We may look at somebody and it is just what it is, and then suddenly we compare ourselves to them, or we bring in some kind of label and we go, that is good and I am bad, that is right, this is wrong, and we place on top of what we witnessed a judgment, and that judgment in itself becomes an interpretation, and that fuels a lot of our emotional state and brings with it a lot of turmoil. And we would think that this has a good side to it, yeah, because the very nature of good and bad is, what's the positive of judgment? Well, the positive of judgment is intended to give us a sense of self-belief and a sense of self-worth, and a sense of, if I'm good, if I'm doing things right, then I'm okay. But the reality is, this is a false way of believing in yourself, because it is always in comparison to something or someone else, and that holds with it a sort of fluctuating state of emotions. So if we want to start looking at the world and dropping judgment, which in itself is a very difficult thing to do, because we need to understand it's quite a natural thing for the mind to do, is to apply this judgment. But if we're wanting to create a place for non-judgment, then it is the ability to start looking at things as everything is equal. It's all neutral until we give it a label. The neutrality in itself gives us information. I can see someone and then I can go, oh, there they are. And then I can decide what I want to do with them or not do with them. But then this mental construct of adding the label of right or wrong. Now, judgment is the one thing in the world that if I had a way of curing this, it would be the thing I would most long to do. Certainly if we start off with the concept of self-judgment. In the world of emotional intelligence, we talk about self-awareness as being the clue to your own growth. And starting off with self-awareness is great. Self-awareness is the ability to see yourself in the world and notice what it is that you are doing. But self-awareness very, very quickly comes into self-judgment. The judgment of, am I doing it right or am I doing it wrong? Is this the right way? Is this the wrong way? Is this good? Is it bad? Is it better? Is it worse? You know, this sort of thing holds you very paranoid to your own sense of criticism, and that analysis can hold you very separate from your own gifts, very separate from taking steps towards doing what you're born to do. Because if I compare myself to somebody else, I'm never going to be like them. I can't be like them because I'm me. And so the very nature of comparing yourself to somebody else holds you in the paralysis of not being good enough. And so the greatest paradox we've got in the universe is the ability to notice the sameness in each of us. That every single human being we meet is the same. We all have the same path we're walking. We all have the same challenges we're facing. We all have the same desires. We all have the same, yet it is all different. What I mean by this is that every soul that comes to earth is walking through their own set of challenges and joys. We all have loss and we all have love. We all have every component of life. And so there's a sameness in the experience, yet there's a uniqueness to how I will go about walking my path and how you will go about walking your path. And so when we can understand that even though there's this profound uniqueness, there's this intrinsic sameness, when we can handle that paradox, we can come to a state of unity, a state of love, and then we can create the connections that we long to see in the world. And this is this universal law of oneness, of really coming to the place of oneness, that we all are intrinsically the same, yet we are all unique. Judgment fuels a lot of divide in the world. When we look at this card, you can see this picture of two people standing on opposite sides of a bridge, and we can see that through their judgment there's this gap that starts to form. And the judgment really is fueled by who is right and who is wrong. Yeah? And we understand this because, we walk around with a significant amount of need to prove we're right. If somebody else has a different opinion to you, it doesn't make their opinion wrong. If somebody else has a different belief system to you, it doesn't make their beliefs wrong. If somebody else believes in a different religion, God, spirituality, whatever it is to you, it doesn't make them wrong. It just makes that their truth. The uniqueness of them is their perspective. And so when we can honor that your difference does not need to mean mine is incorrect, then we can start to listen. And this is the true ability to connect, is the skill of listening. Listening is the ability to connect with another human being without thinking, do I agree or do I disagree? The minute you're thinking, do I agree or disagree, you've created a disconnect between you and the other person. And so when you come back to, I don't need to agree with you or disagree with you, I can just honor you. In the same way as I don't need to look at myself and say, where am I in comparison to you? The reason I said earlier that this would be the one thing that I would love to heal the world of is because really, if we're wanting to come to love as the way that we can heal the world, we can start to embrace every single aspect of the world, of individuals, of humanity as the way it is. And then we can just shower that with acceptance, compassion, kindness, and love. There is no need to fight our way to peace. There is no need to go to war to create a better world. We only need to come to a place of acceptance and dropping the judgment. The final part I'd say about this is that you are going to judge. I wish I could really tell you would sit here and hear this message today and drop judgment. The trick with this is to not judge your judgment, is to honor it and notice that that's an essential part of the human experience. Because when you can drop your judgment of your judgment, then you're able to notice, smile, and come to a place of acceptance. The exercises to do around this really all center in the art of listening. As you leave this message today, the next person, whether it's on the radio, whether it's somebody in your office, whether it's somebody you love, whether it's a friend, whether it's somebody on the street, try listen to them without interpreting anything they say as right or wrong, just with the curiosity of hearing what another person's perspective is. The more you do that for others and for yourself, the more you will heal yourself of this natural ability to judge. Sending lots of love. Namaste.
Get your very own deck of I Am Lightwalker cards straight from Taryn by visiting IamLightwalker.com/cards.